All right, so good morning, world. It is Saturday. It's a little bit earlier, but it's time to go to the farmers market. Isn't it beautiful? First things first, we have to go get some cash from the bank because some of the vendors do not accept credit card, especially my favorite ones. And you know that it is a high quality, good, local stand when they only accept cash. When they start accepting credit cards, it's a little bit more touristy. But without further ado, how about let me show you. Hotel de Ville, Lyon. Welcome to Lyon. And then here is the Museum of Fine Arts. All right, so today's market. Oh, look at that. Isn't that awesome? So today's market is going to be the Croix Rousse Market, which is the market that is in the upper northern section of Lyon. It is up on a hill and it gives a beautiful outlook over the whole city. If the trees have been pruned, I will say, but it is one of the most well-known farmers market in all of Lyon, and it is one of the highest quality. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, it is the oldest farmers market in Lyon as well. So it's got a lot of history to it as well. Now, okay, some insider tips for the farmers markets here in Lyon. Croix Rousse and the riverfront farmers market are the two major ones. Yes, there are other ones that are around the other arrondissement of Lyon, but they are not as well known. Well, they are not as well developed, and these are the two main ones. Now, in the past, Croix Rousse, which is up on the hill, and Lyon were almost two separate entities. In the Croix Rousse neighborhood, you had more of the catching my breath. Now, in the past, Croix Rousse was separate from the bottom section of Lyon, and Croix Rousse is where the silk makers worked and lived. And the bottom section is where the silk was sold to people coming around from other areas to Lyon to buy the historic silk that was made in Lyon. Because of this separation between the upper section of Croix Rousse and the lower section of Lyon, what that means is that these two independent sections developed their population and their culture separately, and then so they each had their own market. And that is the reason why there are two major markets here in Lyon. Now, like I said, you can tell I'm out of breath. Croix Rousse is up on a hill, and so you can either take the metro up or you can walk up. Look at that beautiful sight. And then when you get to here, you have steps, and then after these steps, you get to what we call the plateau. And the plateau is the flat area of where Croix Rousse is just, it's more level. You're not going up an incline anymore. But yes, there is a metro that gets you all the way up if you don't want to go up by foot. Now, if I was hosting a tour guide, I'd be going much slower, and I'd be stopping and I'd be explaining, what's going on left and right. I talk about the buildings, I talk about the windows, and I would talk about more of the history of Croix Rousse. But because it's just me today, you get to have a private session with me, but I will say it's only through the phone. All right, so these are incredibly French. So those little caddies are incredibly French because everything is almost by foot or by, the metro or trams, buses, etc. And so we don't usually have like cars and grocery bags that would then go into that car because, we are going by foot. And so, we'll want something to, we'll want to load up on all of our groceries and then we'll want to pull it behind us, kind of like a suitcase. So it's not so heavy on our shoulders, but this is a very, very French thing to do. All right, so I am up on the plateau and it is a little bit cloudy today, but I will show you the overlook that we get of all of Lyon. Isn't it pretty? And there are other lookouts as well, but this is one of the major ones, and when the sky is completely clear, it's really beautiful. Now, of course, you are watching me through my camera, but if you're here with me in real life and I'm giving a tour guide, you can soak in all of the smells, the French sounds, the freshly baked bread, the coffee, you can get in croissant. Oh, there is nothing better. But because you're through my camera, I'm trying to give you as best of an experience as you can. All right, so here is the start of the farmers market. You can see right here, the metro drops you off right here, so you get right to the farmers market, and then a little bit further down, it opens up a little bit wider, so it's not such a tight squeeze right here. But for example, you have medicinal plants, you're gonna have breads, but I'll show you as we keep going. Something I do need to preface is that, I am going to be, quote unquote, in a store, and so I do need to be respectful of the people that are around me. And if there's a line, I'm not going to push people to get a visual. So if you want to see everything, come to Lyon and I'll show you everything. But I will do my best to get the full visual that really is what you're looking for. All right, so the first thing to know is that when there is a line, like there is right here, that is a really good sign that the vendor is well known and that they have fantastic products. Now here is one of my favorites. This is the meat stand. They have whole chickens with the heads still attached, and look at how red all of that is. That is very indicative of the quality of food that you get here in France. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that you're going to get a wide variety of vendors here. You're going to get herbs, spices, cheeses, more soft dairy products. You're going to get a fish market. You're going to get a meat vendor. You're going to get just everything, and they are not going to be sectioned off, as in you're going to have someone selling vegetables, then dairy, then meat, then vegetables again, and then maybe fish. So it's not all in one spot, so you really should go the entire way down to make sure that you're getting something that you really like. All right, here is another meat stand, and I am actually going to stand in line for this one because I would like to get a slice of meat. All right, so I just got my dairy and meat. I got some, it's called a fromage blanc, and I'll create a translation for it, but it doesn't exist in the US. You can't find it. And it's a delicious, yogurty, almost it's like a mix between yogurt and cream cheese almost, but it's a dessert, and it's fantastic. It's kind of like a Greek yogurt now that I think about it. But in any case, I'm going to show you how to spot a really good vendor. And also what to look for when someone is not, I don't say not a good vendor, but when the products are being shipped, or if it's from a greenhouse. So for example, here you can tell he's got a picture here. This is a real farmer. And you can tell his products look farm fresh and clean, and they have irregular shapes and sizes. So you've got potatoes, which are very current here, and then you've got actually a lot of fruit, because it's fruit season, because technically, so tomatoes are technically fruits, and it's stone fruit season, so you also have apricots, cherries, peaches, etc. And if you could tell, there was actually almost all fruit there, botanically speaking, because it's the fruit season. We are near the end of June. Your tomatoes technically are fruits, but also cucumbers are technically fruits, along with zucchini, which are also technically fruits, which are then sitting next to the cherries, which are stone fruit, the nectarines, the apricots, and those are all stone fruits as well. And then your green beans, which he also had, those are actually also fruits. It's the fruit of the plant. And so you can really tell when they're doing real farm work, because a true fruit will be sold near the summer months, because we're at the end of June, and then more vegetables such as broccoli and cauliflower will be more present during the winter months, or just even the colder seasons. If someone, for example, has bananas here in France, bananas are not French. Bananas do not grow in France. And so if someone is selling bananas, they're usually shipping that. And so you just want to keep that in mind. And I'm not saying that it's bad to have bananas, but it's something to help you understand the difference between having farm fresh produce and having produce that is coming from somewhere else. If you're trying to be environmentally conscious, you can. I still have bananas. I love bananas. They're a delicious fruit to have. But it is an interesting way to keep in mind where your food is coming from. So for example, here on this next one that I'm coming up on, they're pretty high quality, but they are going to be producing their fruits and vegetables in a greenhouse. And so they're going to have a much prettier aspect, and you're going to be able to have a wider variety of fruits and vegetables depending on the season. All right, so here you've got your vegetable section, your salad varieties, and then your nightshades, then your melons, your bananas, so keep that in mind, your stone fruits, your tomatoes, etc., etc. And honestly, it's all good and it's all going to be fantastic. And this is actually technically a truck. I'll show you. But this is a charcuterie and a pig vendor. So as you can tell, this is the truck, and it just closes down this way, and that's where all the products stay, and that's how the products get to the marketplace. All right, so this is what the market looks like. You're going to get some Arab influences as well. You're going to get your dried fruits, more meat stands, and farther down, you're going to get more fruits and vegetables. Now, this is more of a greenhouse fruit and vegetable producer. You'll be able to tell when someone is really from a farm because they will have lesser of a selection, like this one. This one has less of a selection, a wider variety of the same thing, and you can tell it's more from a farm. Now, these are my favorite moments here. And because you can see, look at all the people standing in front of this one. That's a really good sign. And look at the deep color in those cherries. Now, here is a little cheese stand. How beautiful that is. Little eggs, immersing, and then the dried sausages, saucisson. Then flowers. And then, of course, local raw honey. You can tell it's a good quality thing. It's a good quality stand when you get grandmas standing and buying products. Now, I'm a little bit earlier than usual, but when you get a little bit later in the day and you do the markets, you're going to get the fabulous grandmothers that come out that are dressed to the nines. You'll still have some a little bit earlier like I am. It's about like 9:15. But you know, the time that they get up, they have their little petit déjeuner, their little breakfast, their little coffee, and they, you know, get the hair all done. The grandmas are out by 11. So if you want to see the grandmas, come a little bit later and they will be out doing their little shopping. You can tell that right here you've got only one side of the street that is part of the farmers market, and then you have the other side of the street, which is the second part of the farmers market. When you do the farmers market on a Tuesday, both sides will be taken up and you'll have one alleyway and that'll be it. Now, when you want a backed up view, because I know you're not getting it entirely, but you have all of these stands, and then right above you have this beautiful architecture and then trees that are lining the whole thing, which is just part of the French ambiance, and it's really beautiful. All right, so you can tell here with the amount of earthiness and individualism that these are homemade products. All right, so here is a fruit stand. You can tell it's Lyonnais. It's from Lyon, and they have apricots, apples, cherries, more apricots, more cherries, fruit juice, even more cherries, apricots, berries, and cherries, and potatoes as well. Now, I've been waiting to get a bread stand where no one is in front of them, but there's always a crowd. So I'm going to give you a quick visual, and hopefully you'll be able to see. All right. Oh, it just cleared. These are some of the homemade breads. They will also have these delicious rotisserie chickens. And what you can't tell is that those rotisserie chickens are dripping, their fat is dripping over a set of potatoes. So good. Look at that architecture, isn't that beautiful? Um, anyway, we're getting a little bit later in the market and it's starting to fill in a little bit, but I'm coming up on some live music and it's just very soft and it's perfect. Market filling in. Isn't that wonderful? Now coming up, we have our herbs and spices and teas stand. They have literally every single thing that you could ever imagine. And a fish stand. You can't see anything because there's so many people, but absolutely, they've been here forever as well. And I'll always say that you know you're coming up on a fish stand because you'll smell them before you see them. Also, if you think about it, when you look at the France on the map, you're going to see that on the other end you have Africa and you have the neighboring countries such as Spain and Italy. So you're going to have influences from those parts of the world also when you come into France. Now, because we're a little bit more south, we're going to get those influences. More northern, you get more Germanic influences you're also going to have. So, for example, because we are not that far from Italy, you get these olive stands and you get your Middle Eastern things and you get your nuts and dried fruits as well. Now, of course, if you come to the farmer's market and you buy, dairy, meat, fish, or things that need to be refrigerated, you should, of course, go home and then do that. But if you come to the farmer's market and you get just, bread, fruits, and vegetables, afterwards, you can go sit on in a restaurant in a closed off area, or you can even go earlier in the day, go to a bakery and get a hot coffee and get a croissant, say it in the American way. And of course the vendor will smile at you. But these are the things that you can do to help round out your farmer's market morning. So that about wraps up our tour guide of the Croix Rousse Farmers Market. I want to thank you so much for watching. I'll see you then. Bye.